Evening, everyone. I want to welcome you all to another edition of the Mind of Ivory podcast. Here we have a special guest with us. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
I sure can. My name is Erica Hill, and I go by Motivational Stella on several forums for motivating women over 40 to invest in themselves and live their best life to become the best version of themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, we all need that motivation. And just to give people just a quick backstory, we connected off of TikTok and everything, and because of your motivation and the empowerment that you bring on there, just from the different videos and just how you're able to just create things in your own way, uh, it was definitely something to where I made sure to, when you put something out to comment or like, because supporting each other is very critical. Just as people need that energy sometimes given to them the same way to give it to other people.
Right, right.
Yeah,
In this day and age, we don't I kind of think we don't give each other our flowers before we're gone. And just to celebrate life, especially in this world where there's a pandemic, just taking down lives too soon.
exactly. And so how was your day today?
Today was pretty good.
Okay.
Typically, I'm the retirement education specialist for the Kansas City Public School retirement system. So I retire teachers and administration from the Kansas City Public School District, Kansas City Public Charter Schools, and Kansas City Public Library. So outside of TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, Motivational Stella does have a real full-time job.
Okay. Well, you're a woman of many talents, and your gifts are going to continue to help bring more clarity and substance to the world. So I just want to say I thank you for what you're doing and your
Thank you.
community, as well as what you're doing on all your different platforms. So you mentioned about Kansas and everything. How was it growing up in Kansas?
Well, so I I guess I want to say there is a Kansas and there's a Kansas City, Kansas. There's Missouri and a Kansas City, Missouri. So grew up on the Kansas City, Missouri side, and living in Missouri, it it's the Midwest. So you get more of not so much of big city, big lights living. It's more of stable homes, you know, down to earth people. So growing up, I grew up in the suburbs and went to a mixed school. So we had, mixed whites and blacks. So all of the different color variations and people seeing color, we back in the early 80s, 90s, we didn't see that.
Okay. And now, with that being said, did you see anybody that had issues or that had a hard time dealing with that? Maybe if they were a new student that came to that school that it was maybe from a different state, did they kind of point that out maybe to you because um, well, I want to let the listeners know this. So, can you let them know your lineage or your background as far as with your race?
I sure can. So I am African American. Both my parents are black. And I think as far as my family history goes, I have some Indian, which is a couple of generations back on my mom's side. And I want to say some maybe Italian on my biological father's side generations back. But I know I get, because of my light skin, I get mistaken for white, Hispanic, mixed. uh, you name it, just because I'm light skinned. I don't have that thick, coarse hair, and my hair is not relaxed, so I get mistaken for that quite a bit. But I am black.
Okay. Okay. And the thing about it is that sometimes people coming up in in places where it's a lot of confusion in the home, it's
Right,
hard to kind of distinguish, well, okay, well, if I was born from, a father that was, from a different race and then a mother from a different race, like I don't want to have to choose between both, but I understand at some point, there's going to be people to push me in one direction or not. And it's good that,
right,
you're able to understand, your background and also to know that no matter how people perceive you, you know who you are first. And that's very
right,
important.
right.
Yeah.
It's definitely an important. I do have a niece that's biracial, and I don't think that she specifies which race she identifies with. And so, and I get that there are people out there that do that. I just I I don't see a big deal about that, and I don't raise any issues or concern about being mixed or recognizing one race or the other.
Yeah. I think though for some people, I think there's people that are okay with that if a person doesn't identify. They just kind of feel
Hmm.
like if there are certain tangibles, if there are certain things pertaining to our group, and then you don't identify,
Right.
and you have
You're
speak,
kind of
you have
looking down
yeah,
on
and
it.
if you have speaking points about, oh, why y'all doing this, why y'all doing that, it's like, well, we don't even know what side you're on. So are you with us when it's beneficial to you, or are you just with
Right.
us because it's like you want one foot in, one foot out? So it's
Right.
good that kids at a young age, they understand that they want to represent both their parents if they come from a mixed household in the best light, and not let anybody unfold how they feel about their own situation.
Right. Right.
Okay.
You're
and
so
so
right.
as far as with your childhood, do you have any like passions or hobbies that you and like to do?
So growing up, I was always I don't know, I like to do things with my hands. So I was definitely in a lot of art classes, and I remember, one time my mom enrolled my brother and I in a course that happened on Saturdays, an art course where we actually got to go tour the Kansas City Art Museum. And we would have to draw some of the paintings and abstract art that we saw. We would actually have to mimic it and draw it. And I always thought that that was a real, fascinating thing that we got to do. But I never really kept drawing in my vision going forward. I was really into molding things out of clay, create. I was more so creating things versus just doing drawing. And so courses like home economics was really good for me. And there was also a decorating course that I took, I remember, in high school. It was we had to take a shoebox and we had to create one room inside the shoebox. And I mean, when we got that project, I went all out. My room had wallpaper, it had carpet, it
Oh, you
had
had the works.
furniture, it had little paintings on the wall that were framed, little lamp fixtures. And I mean, it was, yeah, it was top notch for a shoebox room.
Yeah.
But yeah, any time I was doing with anything with my hands was always brought me joy, even writing. So those were pretty much my hobbies growing up. I wrote poetry, I created things out of basically out of nothing. I told somebody once I had to have been bored, but I took, the brown paper bags that you pack your school lunch in.
Uh-huh.
I created a doll out of a paper sack just
Oh,
for the heck
wow.
of it.
Yeah, that's creativity. creativity or
Yeah.
boredom, but you nailed it.
It was all that. It was all that.
Okay. And so, well, you seem like you had a pretty, entertaining childhood. And as far as you getting older, going to college, like what college did you go to? And then did you join any clubs or groups at or when you were in college?
So when I first graduated from high school, I went to, at the time it was Southwest Missouri State University. I think now it's called Missouri State University. I actually belonged to the Black Student Union. I didn't join any really other organizations while I was there. I dropped out in 1991, moved to Atlanta, Georgia for a couple of years and worked. Probably came back to Kansas City in the mid 90s and kind of let family and having kids and getting married, life happened. So I actually didn't go back to school until 2011. I got my associate's degree, and then by 2012, I had actually started on my bachelor's. I graduated with my bachelor's in 2013 with honors, and then by 2014, when I started my master's, I initiated into Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Okay. Well, I will first of all I want to say congrats on not giving up,
No.
even when it seemed like it was probably, hard at times with everything you had going on and everything in your personal life. So that's good that you're triumphant in all that
Yeah,
you've done. And
I
now
definitely don't recommend, somebody waiting until their 40s, mid 40s to try and go back to school and finish. It definitely wasn't the easy road, and that's why I try and tell my kids, but you know, when don't go to school to waste anybody's time. And definitely, if it's not your path, don't stay on it. Definitely find what your path is for you. No one can tell you what you should or shouldn't do.
exactly. I definitely like that statement. And when it comes to the sorority you're a part of, what made you decide to choose that specific one? And what would you tell, young girls coming up that may want to join your specific sorority and what
Well, I chose it because I personally think my blood has always bled pink and green. I definitely remember when I was on the college campus, AKAs definitely meshed with what I wanted, what I saw in my life. And so, as far as any woman wanting or having a desire um, to be a part of a sorority or even to be an Alpha Kappa Alpha woman, I believe if a woman has a desire to serve for the good of all mankind and wants to lend her strengths to the better of her community in a sisterhood that's been founded for over 112 years, definitely seek information.